Okay, where is it recording to? That's interesting. It's recording, but I don't know where. Well, wherever it goes, it's going to be perfect.
And it is?
And it is.
We're live.
We're
Okay.
recording.
Welcome to the Create Yes Summit for your environmental sustainability, where sustainability is about more than just climate change, but also how you can create changes in your own life that will affect the world around you. And I'm really excited to introduce my guest today, who is Marbeth Dunn. She is a spiritual teacher who has been working for 30 years in that field to pinpoint the hidden issues holding you back from your greatest success. And she works with your mindset, success in energy management, and especially with highly sensitive women professionals. But I think today the audience is expanded.
Oh, yes.
Great. Marbeth, hi.
Hi. So nice to be here with you, Victoria.
It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
We were just trying to figure out how long, and it doesn't matter. It's been a while, and I'm happy to be in this place now, to have you here.
No, it's great to be here. And I love what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. It's something that is calling to me in a way that the path is, it's just showing up before me, and that's new and different. And I love playing with that energy. And I had told you, and now our listeners can get a little peek into this afternoon, my energy has been kind of going, it's not quite as easy flow. And I'm like, what is this? It's like, oh, I'm interviewing the energy management specialist. So it's great for me to get a little off center first.
Yeah, and actually when I tap into you, I am feeling some issues around the root chakra. So, you know, so and it's not, I'm not getting anxiety or fear. No, it's not about that. It's and we're going back into like ancestral stuff, which is kind of cool. But that might be, we actually have a past life experience together, my dear. And
Oh,
yes, we do. And that's why this was coming out. So we could
okay.
we can release that today. So that'll be cool. It's one of the things we could do. How fun is that?
It is. And when I approach an interview, I don't get nervous. And you said, it's not about fear. And I'm just, what is this? I had no way to pinpoint the what, but I had forgotten how well you do that.
Yeah, no, I just tapped in. It's like, no, it's not fear. It's not anxiety. No, we have a past life together. More than one? No, but this was significant for you, but I don't feel that it was that significant for me, which is interesting. And we don't really need to get into any stories. So, we can just release it, but how, that is why I think you were feeling what you were feeling. And I'm so glad you let me know about that. So we can play with that if you like.
Absolutely. All to the benefit of the listeners.
All to the benefit of the listeners. It's so important, especially in these days of the virus, that we really be present to who we are, to what we're feeling, that we treat ourselves with love and respect, and be as present as we can to what's going on within us and address it so that we can be more peaceful. And when we're more peaceful, then we can affect everything around us.
Even hearing that, I can feel shifting.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're very energetically sensitive and empathic. You are an empath.
Coming into my space with that, yes. It's one thing just to think it, and it's another to feel and embody and embrace it.
And there's a lot of emotion coming up in your throat and in your solar plexus. So it's like, oh, I'm stepping into this, but I'm also being vulnerable about it, because you're feeling vulnerable about it.
Sure. And stepping into that vulnerability is putting on a new skin almost for me, or taking off an old skin, perhaps.
Yeah, I know
Language is important around that, but
it is. And I know for many years, I didn't know I was an empath. I thought there was something really wrong with me. And did you experience that too?
there is a disconnect, and perhaps that is a protection mode.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, yeah? And it feels disconnected. And yet, as I step into what I call this new phase that has been shifting for me over the past year, it's what is mine to do? And within the scope of this summit, how do we access what is mine to do within the greater picture of, as Pachamama Alliance puts it, letting go of the old and bringing in the new, in the midwifery for the new, and on hospice care. There we go, hospice care and midwifery. So I'm hospice caring an old life and bringing in midwiving my new life,
Oh, nice.
as everyone on the planet is being called to do with what I call the gift of this time of staying home and looking in
Yes,
perspective.
it
So,
really is a gift.
so how do we straddle those two worlds of the old, which seems like the way it is, but it is no longer, and the new, which we are now defining?
So, what we need to do is to become completely present in the moment without bringing the past with us. And that's a little tricky because so often when we're thinking, our thoughts go back to what happened. What happened in this scenario? Am I going to repeat this? And then you start to bring that, you bridge the present moment with these thoughts of the past, and you go right over the present and you bring that past into the future. So we don't want to do that anymore. We want to be in this present moment, which is really our pivotal point of power. So when we are in our present moment, and we can access this by being in our breath, following our breath, breathing not up here in the shallow breathing of stress, which a lot of us are doing right now because of this pandemic. It's like you're going outside and, is it safe? And is it safe for me? There's a person over there. Do I need to put my mask on? So you're in this, this fear place, and you're not really being present. So when you are actually monitoring your breath in your mind's eye, you just follow it down and let your belly expand with the breath, contract with the breath, follow it in your mind's eye, become aware of any sensations you're experiencing, and just feel them in the present moment. Suddenly you're there. You're right here in the present moment. That's all it takes to be here now. And
One breath.
yeah, just as long as you can follow that breath and just like, okay, or you can ask like, who am I? And suddenly you're there like, oh, I'm here. I'm here. I'm this awareness. I'm this consciousness. I'm here. Now the past, as Crosby, Stills, and Nash said, is just a goodbye. The past is just a goodbye. And then, we can create a different future. So from this place of, well, here I am right now, then I can just take one step at a time, and I'm doing it consciously. So when I think of two worlds, it's also being in the spiritual realm, but also being in the physical realm. Just being very aware. Okay, I may be feeling these sensations in my body, but I'm not just a body. I'm so much bigger than this body.
So is that connecting to our breath and bridging the two worlds also a tip for being in this present moment? Like, how do we feel our way into this moment?
Well, you can feel your way in by feeling the sensations in your body. And what's really cool, and I've done this in meditation, is like, okay, what am I feeling right now? Okay, I might be feeling some stiffness. And, maybe my joints are a little stiff, or maybe I've got some aches or pains, or maybe I've got some energy that I'm feeling that might be stuck in my solar plexus and it's a little knotted, or whatever, you're just noticing, I'm feeling this right now in the moment. Now, earlier you were feeling, a little discombobulated, and you correctly connected that with our meeting today. And so that's something, you're feeling your way in. And also, the way that we connect with spirit is through peace. Now, we connect with God, source, the universe, by how am I feeling in this moment? If I'm feeling agitated, then I'm not really connecting. I'm not feeling peaceful. But when I reach for peace and I can ask, how can I be more peaceful right here and now? Then I can feel my way into what feels more peaceful for me. And the more we follow, every instant we have a choice to choose what feels more peaceful. And we'll start to recognize that. And as you feel more peaceful, you're moving on the right path, because that you're following your connection, to God's source, the universe. But now, when I'm saying peaceful, some people may interpret that as like, if I'm in an argument, I'm going to cave, or I'm going to just allow them to make the decisions, and that is not really what peace is about. What peace is about is what feels peaceful in your heart. And if you are in a confrontation with someone and your heart is telling you to stand up for what's right, because that makes you feel peaceful, then you're feeling peaceful expressing yourself in that moment, even though it may appear that there's some chaos or confrontation happening. You're being peaceful. You're connecting to that.
Like a tree with the tsunami or tornado around it, the tree is still standing.
Right.
One thing that comes up when I hear you ask the question, how can I be more peaceful? I want to bring attention to the fact that sometimes the question might be asked differently, that may not be as helpful a way. Like, why aren't I more peaceful? So that's a totally different question that I think might be the way people phrase things sometimes. But why aren't I more peaceful brings less peace. I want to really bring attention to how can I be more peaceful as the phrase, the language, because language is important.
It is so important, and thoughts are important. Every thought that we think creates a reverberation. So we have to be very careful about the thoughts that we think.
As you were talking about with taking the breath fully deep into the belly and noticing what are we feeling in our bodies in that moment, I can, with my head, think many things. Oh, I can feel this on my knee, and I feel that, and I have that, and I can just really think. How do we drop from our heads to our heart and connect that knowingness of what we are feeling in our body and have it be more of an emotional feeling instead of an intellectual thought?
That's a very good question. So I think one of the easiest ways around that is to put your hands over your heart and to bring your awareness underneath your hands. And you feel the warmth under your hands. And as you move your awareness underneath your hands, deep within that warmth, you start to notice that you're inside your being. You're inside your physical form, right?
It's like the breath goes in and out from here,
Yeah.
and not even from here.
Yeah, exactly. So now you've moved out of your head. It's that 16-inch journey between your head and your heart. So you're in your heart now, and your heart is really a gateway to your divinity. So we can just be here now. And from here, which is really cool, we can expand our awareness. We can move beyond our body. And you get a sense of being bigger than the physical. Especially if when you're focusing underneath your hands, that you feel love. You think about something or someone, or maybe a puppy or a kitten, feeling that innocence of something or someone that you love, and feel their innocence, their purity. And that, you feel that filling up your heart, it just expands. And you can expand that and intensify the feeling and just let it expand. And what's really wonderful about this is, I don't know if you're aware of it, but about, I guess about a year and a half ago, I was guided to create an experiment called the World Miracle Peace Experiment. And I was told that it would be live within 2 weeks. It was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here?
Kind of like my summit. I'm doing a
Like
summit. What?
Yeah. Like, what? 2 weeks? Don't you give me a little more time? No, it's going to start in 2 weeks. So, and it was a live broadcast. And I thought initially it was going to be on my conference line, but that didn't work. And so my very first Facebook Live, I grabbed my iPhone, I put it up on a tripod, and I went live. And we did 7-minute meditations a day, every day for a month. And during that period, we monitored, my team and I, we monitored the numbers of violence, the statistics from an independent organization monitoring the violence in the Middle East. We focused on the Middle East. And the whole experiment was, can we create a shift in the Middle Eastern violence by meditating together in unison, meeting out in the field, expanding our awareness to meet out into this field of love and peace and miracles, and direct that to a specific place. We focused on the Middle East, surrounding it with love and peace, and at the end of 30 days, the level of violence had dropped, like, significantly. And so I didn't want to stop. So I continued the experiment, but doing it every day yourself, is a huge commitment.
Yes.
So I brought in other people and I interviewed them, and then they would lead a meditation a couple of times a week. So we actually kept the experiment going for about 6 months. And at the end, we took the statistics from the ACLED again, and it showed that the level of violence during our experiment, I mean, were a couple of up levels during the meditation period, but in general, it dropped like 20%.
That's significant.
And it's not like we were like hundreds and thousands of people. We weren't. But the fact is that we were able to affect change by meeting, by allowing our awareness to expand, by moving into love and peace and appreciation, and then joining together with others. We created, to me, that's a miracle.
That is. And I've heard about that kind of work when people have that focused meditation. I think the similar work has been done on New York, crime in New York.
Yes, there was similar work that was done with the Transcendental Meditation people. I'm trying to think of his name. He's a nuclear physicist, but he's also the head of the Transcendental Meditations, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head. John.
It's okay.
It is what it is. But anyway, they were in Washington, D.C., but they all went there physically and they meditated. They also went to Israel during the war with Lebanon and they physically meditated. They were there physically and they meditated. This was different. This was all of us focusing our energy in connecting in this field that Lynn McTaggart writes about, you know, in her experiments. But we did this. This is what I was guided to do. And I was then also told that it was time to stop. And, you know, because we were going to be moving or whatever. And then I was never, and when I would check in periodically, it was like, nope.
That's enough.
You know, so, but it served a very valuable purpose because it demonstrated that we could create a miraculous shift by being in a completely different part of the world, but directing our energy there and meeting in this field of love and peace and miracles.
I'm finding that I am actually taking more action now and doing more things now that everything in the world has slowed down. And how do we come to that place for someone who is not feeling as connected? How can they feel a little more connected in this time of physical, not being in proximity physically, but how can they really build that and feel that connection with everybody else?
You know, and I think it happens with people who, you know, were kind of moving nonstop before, you know, this whole virus experience, you know, and then it becomes really hard to stop because you're doing, and it's a matter of shifting into being this piece. And then things just show up. Like I'm creating a new program right now that I'm really excited about, and you know, and I have the time to do it. I'm studying Spanish with Rosetta Stone. You know, there's so much that you can do now, but it may not be comfortable because you're used to doing things in a particular way, to going and doing, and then you're here with yourself and a feeling disconnected from where you were. So yeah, that's a huge adjustment. And so how can you be more connected? I would say this is a wonderful opportunity to connect with who you are, with your awareness, by dropping into your heart and feeling the love that's there and spending time and using this as an opportunity to be with yourself and ask open-ended questions. Open-ended questions will bypass any resistance that you have. So you could ask, how can I use this time to feel more connected? Now, you've just put that question out. You don't need to answer it. The answers are going to start dropping in. And you'll suddenly, it's like, oh, there's that answer. Or you can say, how can I feel better about just being here and not doing everything that I was doing? You know? And now you've opened that up, and you aren't going to be the one coming up with the answer. The answer is just going to come in because we have all these amazing spiritual helpers that are there for us, and the answers will materialize.
Well, this is not the first time I personally have heard that phrase of doing. Now it's time to be. Yeah, that's a message for me, but I'm not alone, right? So, but how, you know, we are called human beings, not human doings. So exactly. We're human beings. And so then is that part of your idea for how people can do that inner work, find more peace? And you've already talked about the meditation in a group as affecting our planet, but how else? How else can we create greater peace for ourselves and the planet and take that inner work that this summit is about to the outer world?
Well, here's the thing. You know, when you become still for the first time, and it may not feel very comfortable to you, you become aware that you might be holding issues that create discomfort, and it's just really uncomfortable to just be and sit. So I would suggest, if you can, if it's available to you, to go out and just walk in nature.
Mm.
It's a very gentle way to just be and to allow something different to come in. Because if you're going to resist it, it's not going to work for you. You'll become more and more uncomfortable. So there's a delicate balance here. So if you say, how can I be more comfortable being? The answer may come, just go out and take a walk or create a garden,
Mm.
or just be. It doesn't mean that you need to suddenly confront all your demons. There's it takes I want to say it takes work, but it's true. It does take work when you're suddenly allowing yourself to be, and there's a lot of resistance there. It can become very uncomfortable, and suddenly you're aware of all of these issues that are blocking the awareness of love within you.
Mm.
So it may be helpful to find a guide, somebody who can help you move through these gently and without a lot of pain. Because, I know from my own experience that working on my own, I made a lot of pitfalls, and I landed into some hornet's nests that I could have avoided if at that time I'd had the right person guiding me. But it is what it is. So,
People come into our lives at different times for different purposes, whether it's a brief moment that shifts us a little bit in one direction, or if it's that more sustained, like I connected with you, for that brief moment in the past, and now here we are back again. And
yep.
You were talking about your new program. I'm oh, what is that? I want to hear more about that.
It's a program in self-healing.
Self-healing.
Yeah.
Well, before we get there, the importance of connecting with people and recognizing, this is the person right now. They come and go. And I have certainly worked with many people, some intentionally and consciously, some unconsciously, because the lessons come, and you're talking about the discomfort. Well, not all of these lessons of growth feel great.
That's very true. And some of my greatest teachers, have been people that were very difficult to be around, and that created great discord in my life. But they were some of my greatest teachers. And I will give you an example of my father. My father basically abandoned my mother when she was pregnant with me. And so at that point in time, and my family was very religious, divorce was really very shameful, and especially because my mom had a baby. So they negotiated with my father and his brother how he would accept my mother back, even though he had been the one to create this issue. And so she went back, but it was it's pretty awful. She was sleeping with furniture against the door because she thought that he would break in and kill us. I mean, this is how traumatized my mother was. And I'm very empathic myself, so I was feeling all of my mother's stuff. And so she finally left him. He tried to reconnect with me a couple of times, and then I tried to reconnect with him, but it was just bad. And I had really negative emotions. And then he passed, and many years went by. And then he wanted to reconnect with me from the other side. And I had a lot of misgivings. negative emotions about him. I thought, don't really want to do this. He was really awful to me, created all of these issues for me. And yet when somebody's reaching out from the other side, I thought, I got to do this. So I went into my meditation room, I sat down on a cushion, and the next thing I knew, I was bathed in the most amazing love I had ever felt in my life. It was supernatural love. It was just so amazing. And I was so shocked. I was so shocked. And so I just said, "What is this?" And he said, "I have always loved you. I will always love you. We contracted before we were born that these were the roles that we were going to play in each other's lives for our growth opportunities." Now, I believed him. I knew it was true, and I had tears streaming down my face, and I forgave him. So was he one of my biggest teachers? Absolutely.
Coming to the other side of that, being
Yeah.
able to talk about the challenge and the fear and the visceral feeling of being concerned he might come through and literally kill you, that is almost like a psychic wound. It's not a small feeling. So to hear my voice, it shifted in just saying that.
Yeah.
So, but your ability now to talk about that without being connected to it with a hook of the same negative energy.
Or being triggered at all by, oh my God, my father abandoned me. He didn't love me. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve love. I'm going to attract some wonderful narcissist like I did, into my life, to punish me even more.
But so that energy management that you do, that you work with for people, comes from this experience of managing your energy.
Oh, yeah.
Because I really want to explore the idea that no matter how bad it's been, no matter what we may have done as people, no matter what has been done to us, really it's all for us. And finding a way to decouple the emotional angst from the experience.
Right. To move into a neutral place about it, to recognize that, okay, what's the challenge here, and then release it. And really in everything, I wouldn't change anything in my life. And no, it's all perfect because I've learned from all of it. And I've done a lot of, besides in my own personal experience, I've also done a lot of training, for the energy management, intuitive energy management. And a lot of it has developed on its own, which has been very interesting, to notice, oh, look what showed up.
Is it if you set your intention to go in a certain direction, you may not actually end up there, right? You may just start that way, but the path is to get you in that.
Yeah.
Thing. So how can you talk about how can we manage with that? How could the question itself is disheveled for me, because I don't even know what that question is to get me on that path, right? So help me with that. What question do I ask right now that help?
What's the right path for me right now?
What's the right path for me right now? That's simple.
It's simple.
How is it then that the head gets so busy that it can't even find the question quickly and easily? What is that?
It's resistance.
Oh, that's the resistance. I'm very familiar.
Oh, me too.
Well, tell us now about what is this program you have coming up? I didn't even know that you had one coming, so I'm delighted.
I'm in the process of creating it now, but it's very fun. Everything from shape shifting to time travel and yeah, all kinds of things. But it's basically giving people the tools to self-heal themselves, to heal yourself. ultimately, when I work with people, I don't want to keep them, coming to me. I'm a guide. I'm not their solution. I can guide them, and I'm really happy and honored to do that. But ultimately, I want them to step into their power. I think that's really what it's about, by healing themselves. And like A Course in Miracles says, to remove the blocks of the awareness of love's presence, to find
Mhm.
love within, which is really who we are. It's the essence of who we are, is love. And when we are in alignment with that love, then we know what is our path. It just unfolds automatically without our having to sit and tear our hair out because I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. You just allow it, or meditate on it, or just go with what feels good.
Well, as I'm creating Create Yes, I'm finding that the idea came many, many, many years ago. I found literally a floppy disk of Create Yes, 2006.
Wow.
Yes. And I can remember sitting on the floor of the mobile home I was living in at the time, paper spread out all around me with this idea of, okay, what do I need to work on, fix, change? And it developed into, if this is what I need, how do I help other people to have more of that so that then I will also have more? But how do I help other people to have that, was the mindset that I had just learned at that time.
Right.
And I apparently had a longer gestation period than I would have expected with that idea germinating and coming to fruition, because everything has its own perfect timing.
It does.
And now this is unfolding, and I
When
am
you
in the
were
middle.
ready for it, you had to
Yeah,
be ready for it.
yes. And I'm looking forward at the end of this summit to offering my course as well, which will,
Wonderful.
yeah, it'll take people from where they were, and whoever's supposed to be working with me will show up. Like
Absolutely.
whoever is supposed to be working with you, they will show up.
I always do.
Yes, it's always perfect. But I want to hear a little more about about healing yourself from within, or how do you guide someone towards self-healing?
Well, I am very gifted with an empathic ability, and I'm so blessed with it. Um, once I realized that there wasn't something wrong with me, that it was really a gift, and we don't come with the manual, for how to figure it out. But having that ability, and this is one of the things that has developed for me through practice, that my body becomes like a receiver. I receive information, so I can tell where people are holding their issues in their bodies, in their and the body is so wise, hence body wisdom, and their bodies communicate with me. I don't take on their stuff now. Well, not usually. But I can feel it, and it's like, okay, now, you've got this, feeling like I knew that you weren't in a place of fear, but that, oh, this is a past life issue that was coming up. And you were so aware of it because a few years back, you would have been like, what's wrong with me? And you wouldn't have connected it, right?
Yeah.
But now you're like, wow, this has to do with you. And, so you knew it, which is wonderful. So, we keep evolving and we move into this body wisdom. We know things. We get these messages, and it's like, okay, I know I need to address this. We can address this. And when that happens, then as we release it, and I'm always guided, how this person that I'm working with, how they want to release it. I'm given the opportunity, to, oh, you need this? Okay. I can, and so, I guide them to do that, and give them tools that they can use to create a different scenario. The idea is that we move out of suffering, out of pain, out of guilt, out of fear, and move into space of I am a conscious creator.
Mm, I am a
I
conscious
am.
creator.
Exactly.
I've recently developed, I like to work with words and letters and how they all come together. So I've come up with this idea to wave your flag. And
Ah,
your flag is forgiveness, love, appreciation, and generosity.
beautiful.
I like it. So I don't know what I'm gonna. The flag is coming, like the actual flag. I don't know what it looks like yet, but it's coming. So wave your flag. Forgiveness, love, appreciation. Could be generosity. Could be gratitude, but appreciation, generosity, the giving back. So
Absolutely.
what are some tips that you can think of that are maybe general that someone could use to release something at home? Like I've heard of writing something down that you don't want to have a connection to, and you want to release, not connected. We can't ever be disconnected from it. But if we want to release the energy of something, we can write it down and burn it. We can write it
Absolutely.
down.
That's one way. Yeah, that is one way. Another way is where am I feeling this within my body?
Okay.
And you can notice, like, oh, I'm feeling this, I've got this pain in my chest. And I find that generally, we hold different, we hold things. You have something in your neck.
Oh, this is a long standing. It's okay, but when you say this is my spot, and I have got others.
Who's the pain in your neck?
Me?
I don't think so.
No, I'm trying to be funny.
Yeah, but you notice, like, where am I holding this within my being? And then you can just kind of bring your awareness into that sensation and just kind of hang out there. And by allowing it to be, it can just dissolve. That's one way. Just allowing yourself just be there with the sensation. And also see what comes up. Now I'm feeling a lot of stuff right here in my throat, and I believe that's yours.
Probably, as I can't speak. Yes.
So we could just hang out in your throat for
Okay.
a couple of instants here. So just bring in your awareness into your throat and just feeling. So it's not about speaking your truth, but it's about allowing yourself. There it goes. It's starting to experience the emotions that are there. And then you feel them just dissipate because they really just want to be acknowledged. You feel it just dissolved.
For everybody. Yes, I must cough that one out. Yeah.
Hairball.
Well, one thing I noticed from the beginning of our conversation, when you were bringing up something about me or my feeling sense, I very efficiently diverted us to the next question.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's yet another example of resistance, how we bring up resistance and can see it.
Oh, yeah.
We can recognize, oh, not talking about that, because maybe we don't even know it's happening. Sometimes it's very unconscious that we redirect. I'm very conscious when I'm redirecting, and I didn't realize that the purpose of it was so I could come back full circle and say, yeah, I did that, and I can see that.
Well, and also to know that we're never upset for the reason we think we are. That's from A Course in Miracles. So, and that's so true because, so often we feel like somebody does something and it just triggers us and we're really upset. But what we're really upset about is that when we were 6 years old, someone did something that elicited that same reaction. And so that's really what we were reacting to. It wasn't what just happened now.
And our conscious self doesn't know it was the 6-year-old experience. It's very subconscious.
Exactly. And, and so, we could just, there are ways around that. You could say, okay, wait a minute, I'm feeling angry right now. How can I see this differently? And then
there's the question.
That's the question right now. That'll bring you right into the present
Mhm.
moment and help you to start the shift. So that's a really good way to just get out of it. But does it address the original issue? No.
Do we have to consciously and intellectually address the original issue? Like
No,
there's
you
right.
don't.
And I used to think yes. I used to think yes, I need to know what happened so that I can think about it and ruminate on it and process it. That was an old
An old
thought.
paradigm.
Yes. And I have moved past that to let it go.
Yeah. Let it
Any
go.
let it go. And brain spotting is a type of work I have done that I love because you don't have to think about it. You don't have to name it. You don't have to anything. You just give
Exactly.
the brain that freedom and that space to let it work it out, integrate it, release whatever it is that's going on. It's wonderful to not have to think about that.
Absolutely. I didn't know that's what that was called. I think I do that automatically.
Well, brain spotting is a system that developed out of EMDR, and
Okay.
it's you can do self brain spotting like self hypnosis, but not to begin with usually. And it's the observer, like if I'm working on something and I start twitching my eye or something, you would notice, and I may not notice, and then
Right.
you hold your focus on that spot until it
Right.
releases. But
Right.
that's just another technique. But
No, that's very interesting. You know,
oh
I,
yeah,
I think I think the reason that I bypass that is because I know, I already know what's going on with that person,
yeah.
and then we can just like, okay. And then also, tapping into a past life or something, you can just go there, release it. You don't need to get into the story. And I love that. I love that about working, that we don't need to get into these old stories. We can just let them go. Who
Mhm.
needs it anymore? Just move into love and peace and joy.
Yes. So love and peace and joy. We started off with the idea that sometimes we have this attachment to the old life, the old self, and people are at this time wanting to go back to how things were. They want to go back to normal.
Yeah,
And
right.
yeah, so how can we come full circle back to that idea of releasing what used to be the norm and the paradigm on this planet? How do we move forward into creating planetary change from ourselves? How can we affect planetary change?
Well, the planetary change does start from within you. And if you're in a place of peace, you're feeling that peace within you, then that's going to exude outward and you'll be guided like you were to create this summit, like I was to create the World Miracle Peace Experiment. Excuse me. Just gonna
It's plenty in here.
but that's what happens, when we're in that place of peace and we are aligned with who we are, which is love and this peace. And we're created in the image of our creator, and that's not some old guy sitting up in the sky in a throne. That's not who, our creator is pure love. And we are thoughts of pure love. That's actually who we are. And we're spirit. This has been proven over and over again in quantum physics, that energy can't be measured, spirit can't be measured, and they seem to be interchangeable. So this is who we are. Huh?
And entertained.
Yes, exactly. So basically, we move into being creators, and just like in the World Miracle Peace Experiment, when we unite with others in this other realm, we can affect change, and we're guided to act upon what the information that we're receiving. So it's not like we're just jumping off on a whole new thing. It's like, wow, look, I've had the opportunity because of this virus to become more conscious, to become more aware of myself, to be more peaceful, and more ultimately more powerful.
Mm. I think if we come into our power and just feel that, that's a wonderful place for us to be wrapping up, standing in our power.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have a estimated time for the launch of your next program with this inner heal thyself work?
Um, I'd say it's going to be within the month.
Within the month,
I just
okay.
heard that, which is like, oh, really? I got a little work to do. But I do have, a free gift for our watchers, our viewers, and it's an ebook and meditation combo called Mindfulness Hacks, which can help you be more peaceful and centered and joyful, especially in this time of chaos.
And your website is marbethdunn.com.
And the ebook is marbethdunn.com/ebook. And then you'll
Ebook.
also access the meditation.
Well,
Ebook,
that's
all one word, no
easy.
hyphens.
And is that the best way to reach you then, is through your website?
That's a great way to reach me. Yeah.
And you mentioned doing Facebook Live. Do you have a presence on Facebook where people could look for you there as well?
Oh, sure. Sure. I have my Marbeth Dunn on, just look for me, and you'll see all of my groups and everything else that I'm affiliated with.
I mean, obviously, I know that you are certainly on Facebook. For people
Yeah.
but all, yeah.
That's how we originally met, was from Facebook.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember the origin story.
Yeah. Well, you were Harrison's Facebook friend. And so
Yes.
we met in Florida.
Yeah, I went to an event by Heather Dominic and her Energy Rich program at the time. And when I was going down there for that, I'm like, who do I know? Who's here? I think that's how. But it's very interesting how people connect. How do we make those
Totally.
connections with people? Yeah, connection and learning, those are some of my top values. It's,
Mine too.
yeah, and here we are.
And here we are.
Yes, and thank you for coming on today and bringing us full circle through our old life and bringing in the new, and how managing our energy is a path to how we can affect change in the greater world through our own inner environment. And I look forward to your new offering. It sounds delightful.
Well, I'm excited about it. We'll keep you posted. Promise.
Thank you. Bye-bye.